The Delta Plus variant has been a cause of concern in the country. And to know about more on this, I'm joined by Dr. Raman Gangakhedkar, who's the former head of ICMR and currently also involved in the process of science and to do everything with COVID-19. So thank you so much for joining us. So first of all, the Delta Plus variant is a concern. How much do you see it as being more infectious than the parent variant? And are the vaccines and monoclonal antibody treatments are going to be effective against this particular strain in India?
At least there is one thing which I would say: we know Delta variant, the original Delta that we used to talk, that variant has higher transmissibility, and that variant also had three different mutations which formed the core: the L452R, then we had E484Q, and we also had P681R. Now, these three mutations were very much important. Now, there is one more additional mutation, which is called as K417N, which was also observed in a South African variant earlier. That has also been added in Delta Plus variant. All of us know that in South Africa, they found that this particular variant, 417 variant, was also part of the variant of P1, that is the Brazilian variant, which was able to evade the vaccine induced immune response. So there is a worry that is associated with it. To my mind, how big is the worry, we have no idea, because those three by itself, which were part of the Delta variant, they themselves have sufficient evidence to increase transmission efficiency. And what was worse was the last one, the 681 mutation, that is associated with syncytia formation. Now, if it forms syncytia, its location of this particular mutation is close to furin cleavage site. You will find that there is a cell to cell transfer which has been reported by Japanese scientists with respect to this mutation. Now, cell to cell transmission is something which is far different, which we have not seen so far in other variants that have come up. And therefore, there is a fear that this may not only evade the monoclonal antibody response more efficiently, perhaps also ensure that different organs, wherever it goes, it may be able to go by syncytia formation into other cells and linger there to produce more organ damages. So that's an issue which has been flagged off. We don't know whether there is a additional weightage that is coming because of 417 variant per se. We may have to wait for further evidences to come up, but we have to consider both the Delta and Delta Plus, that is AY1, and that is Delta Plus, and AY2 as both the variants which are of variants of concern.
So at this point, the question also is, it's evading monoclonal antibodies, say some studies, but how far could it evade the vaccines that are currently in the world and in India?
See, though there are certain reports which initially talked of reduction in the efficacy of the vaccine against this Delta variant. However, if you look at the data that is emerging from vaccine rollout participants from UK, where they did an observational study, they found that whether it is AstraZeneca or even Pfizer, they retain their ability to stop these mutants still, despite the fact that small amounts may have been dropped to some extent. So we may have to still continue to look for such a data, whether it reduces vaccine efficacy. But there is one good thing that we have to remember. So far, whatever variants are coming up, their escape mutants are still amenable to vaccines, even if the vaccine loses its efficacy to a small degree. This becomes important because it is essentially going to tell us one thing, that vaccines were preventing emergence of severe COVID disease or death as an outcome, Now, if that was being efficiently stopped, loss of efficacy perhaps is reflected more as more of asymptomatic infections or mild infections on exposure even after taking vaccine or natural infection. We must also keep at the back of mind that that fear has still not been seen as much. The fear related to whether there will be more reinfections or breakthrough infections because they able to challenge the vaccine or natural infection induced immunity, you still
Mhm.
find that global data tends to speak about very small proportion of people going for reinfection, that's close to about 0.4%. Breakthrough infections, their numbers continue to remain smaller. Now, even if you look at the US data, they are talking in terms of 10,000 odd people who had breakthrough infections when they have rolled out in very large numbers which would run into crores, no? So it is essentially a smaller phenomena. So the end result is we have to take one message back home that whichever vaccine we are getting, please take the vaccine, whether there is a variant or there is no variant, whether you are vaccinated, whether you are not vaccinated, please adhere to COVID appropriate behavior. COVID appropriate behavior per se can reduce the risk of acquisition of infection by almost 85%. So even if there is a small decline that you might see because of variants itself, in terms of losing efficacy, you would still make it up with the COVID appropriate behavior. So we should not worry at this juncture, just worry enough to ensure that you will follow the COVID appropriate behavior and take vaccines.
But would you say that the current Delta Plus variant is also being able to break through the antibodies that have been created by past infections or from natural infection, where a lot of people were infected?
No, see, our these particular antibodies which we have approved as of now, they were used more in US, and they were used not against Delta variant but other variants so far. They were losing efficacy in that part of the world. When it comes to UK also had similar issues with it, but it is well known that they lose small, they may lose the efficacy by a small degree. But how much of loss would be there in terms of efficacy? We still don't have hard data with Delta variant at this juncture. It is still possible that whatever the remaining efficacy that people are talking about would be lost, no, due to these Delta variant, perhaps would be made up in human studies. Because when you do these studies, when you do PRNTs in the laboratories and try to find out how much is the loss of efficacy by the titers of antibodies, you will always find that the similar effect is not seen in human beings. Because if it reduces by half, would this mean that there would be a similar effect that you will see in human being? Perhaps not. No, so we need to take this with a pinch of salt. They are pointers towards the fact that they may lose efficacy, but by how much will be determined more often, or how significantly it will be dropped will be seen more in human studies per se. And that's why I say low number of breakthrough infections and low number of reinfections natural infection induced immunity or vaccine induced immunity continues to be strong enough.
So that is when you would say that people take two doses of the vaccine, and one would not be enough to fight against the Delta and the Delta Plus variant, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So would you also say that
Absolutely.
there are certain kind of vaccines that may be more effective against the Delta and the Delta Plus? Say, for example, if an mRNA vaccine or a DNA-based vaccine could prove to be more effective than the inactivated viral vaccines or viral vector vaccines in the case of Delta Plus?
No, I would not make such a statement because there is no evidence that has been generated so far to choose between vaccines. Most of it that we by and large are doing are estimated vaccine efficacies. When we talk of efficacy of a vaccine against a particular variant, and that data set is mostly developed by IHME, where during modeling studies they tend to show that there could be a decline in efficacy. But we have to see that in human beings before we comment on that.
So, and also when we talk about genome sequencing from across the country and across the world, India has now sequenced about 45,000 samples of genomes to find at least 40 cases of the Delta plus variant currently. But do you think that there is a need to increase the target of genome sequencing? Because experts have said we are sequencing about 1%, and maybe the target that we set for us was about 5%. And what are the hurdles in that process?
I don't know. I think, it's very easy to say that we should do more of genomic sequencing. But you look at the cost of genomic sequencing, every test that you perform, you look at the issues surrounding, no, it's not only performance of that particular test, but even interpreting, because you will get small changes that you might see in the virus through different mutations. What is also important to recognize is this virus is going to throw up a different kind of a challenge. Earlier, I used to believe that we could have a smart genomics strategy. And when I mean smart, it would mean that we could use a particular test, and that test should detect whether the S gene, the spike gene, is lighting up or not. If it doesn't light up, then you go for genomic sequencing from those samples. That where the cost would be reduced, the efforts would be reduced, and you will get better answers per se. But unfortunately, Delta variant is one which has a bad news with it, that even S gene lit samples will be found to have Delta virus. But the good news of it is you will not miss Delta variant, mainly because even every diagnostic test that you will offer will continue to pick it up. But I agree, there has to be now a different approach towards doing genomic sequencing. It may not remain cheaper, or no smart strategy would be applicable in India given the fact that Delta variant is here.
No, but certainly when we talk about the Delta variant, we also talk about the fact that countries need to begin unlocking and the economies need to begin unlocking. Do you think that the current unlock policy that the government is looking at moves in a graded manner? Because once again, the first sample of the Delta plus variant was once again found in the state of Maharashtra. And as early as in April, so there are states like Maharashtra, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh that are looking at more and more cases of the Delta plus variant. What is your view on unlocking these states or going through a graded unlock system at this point, even as viruses are mutating?
It is critical that we must have good guidelines that are based on evidences as to how lockdown should be approached. Now, when we by and large are talking about lockdown, we tend to think in terms of lockdown at a state level or at India level and things like that. But graded lockdowns, the calibrated lockdowns, how they should be implemented is something which we will have to decide. Now, second thing which I would say is, it would be knowing that this particular infection has both the impacts on health as well as economy. Now we need to be little more cautious. No, we need to involve people more and try and ensure they adhere to COVID appropriate behavior. They perhaps ensure that they will take vaccines, adhere to COVID appropriate behavior to avoid infection, rather than closing down everything. No, that will have a very bad impact on economy. To my mind, what is prudent is involve communities at this juncture and try to handle this virus. But if we create a scare of this Delta or Delta Plus variant. And that would be perhaps something which might happen if we don't try to ensure that people understand the real risk associated with it. There will always be a fear. People will say, now these people keep on talking about newer variants that are coming. Perhaps it's an indication that vaccines don't work. So you add to vaccine hesitancy per se. There will be people who might say they scare you, and if this Delta Plus doesn't translate into another outbreak, which would be of a different intensity, then people will say whatever they say, this doesn't turn out to be true. I think when we go to people, we have to be very clear. It should not evoke fear, because fear-based strategy to involve communities or into preventive approaches tends to have a very short-lasting impact. And then people tend to become deaf to any public health messaging that you would try to do subsequently. So we need to have a balance. We need to be prudent. We need to be vigilant. We need to worry. But what we speak to the community is something which we have to decide. How we try to promote COVID appropriate behavior by involving community is something which we will have to try. How will you try to immunize people in rural areas who are for the first time facing a severe kind of outbreak during the second wave, and ensure that they will take vaccine is another issue that we will have to worry about. But I think by and large, what I would say, we need to reflect within as to what kind of strategies would be balanced strategies, given the fact that it can affect both health and economic outcomes.
So, and when we also talk about the spread of the Delta and the Delta Plus variant at this point in India, do you think it could be a contributing factor to the third wave? As a lot of experts have now come out and said that the third wave in India is impending. Some IIT Kanpur studies are saying if the present behavior of the communities continue, we could see a third wave around October. Health experts have said around September, October. What is your assessment basis the Delta Plus variant at this point, whether it could contribute to the third wave?
See, I don't understand much about that part for one simple reason. Have we seen decline of second wave so far? I think we are talking about a risk too prematurely of a third wave. Let the second wave decline first, because we are in the midst of the same. If you have Delta Plus variant, which is part of the declining second wave, and if it starts becoming plateauing and then going up, would we call it as a third wave? I wouldn't call it as third wave. The variant was as much there. What is most important for us to understand? Why do these waves come? These waves are coming not because of variants, but these waves are essentially coming because we are not adhering to COVID appropriate behavior. We are perhaps not ready to take the vaccine. If we combine both, where is the third wave? The third wave is likely to be curtailed to the best possible extent per se. When people say that variants are causing waves, I tend to get worried. We are passing on a message that could be taken by the population in a different way, because we also need to remember that in our population, cultural fatalism is a very common approach that we would say. No, if you say variants will come, no, if it is a airborne virus and things like that, people will say in any case I am going to get infected. Let God decide what would happen to me. God would be the greatest person to help me out, coming out and fighting with this infection. I think what we have to do is empower people with right kind of knowledge and messaging, and ensure that they follow both, take the vaccine as early as possible, adhere to COVID appropriate behavior, variant or no variant. The COVID appropriate behavior will definitely stop it for sure.
Well, Dr. Ganga Khedkar, thank you so much for speaking to us on India Today and dispelling some questions about the Delta and the Delta Plus variant. We'll have to wait and see what are the kind of evidences that are generated to ensure that and assure the public that vaccines are working against the new variant, and the COVID appropriate behavior is the way to go, even before and after the third wave is, if at all it hits India. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.